Radio and Hayward Field. My name is Piotr Bucharski, and I will be covering the pole vault competition for you tonight on this channel. We have a great field of 24 pole vaulters competing here tonight at historic Hayward Field on a beautiful but slightly overcast day. The winds are light, coming out a little bit out of the south, which will affect the pole vaulters a little bit, but nothing that they haven't had to overcome before. The competition is going to go underway in a couple of minutes. Before we get started, I just wanted to highlight a couple of athletes to pay close attention to. That will
the wind was bad. I'm thinking 60.
and Matthew Rowland of sorry, that was Matthew Rowland for his second attempt at 1610. He's now missed twice. He'll have one more attempt. With a field of 24, We are going to go with a system called 5 Alive. It's designed to give the guys a shorter breaks in between their jumps. Otherwise, they could potentially wait as long as 24 jumpers or 24 minutes in between attempts, which would make it quite challenging. You'd almost have to warm up for your second attempt at a height. So the 5 Alive is a system designed to help the athletes a little bit. It's a little trickier to follow, but as we get down to fewer jumpers, we will switch to the regular system where everybody gets one attempt at each height at a time. And Adrian Valle of Cincinnati, he also missed on his second attempt, so he will have one more. And next up is Craig Hunter for his first attempt at the opening bar of 16:10. And a very nice clearance on his first attempt for Craig. The pole vaulters get to choose what height they want to start at. They just have to follow the regular progression, which today is going to be 16:10, 17:6, 17:10, 18:2, 18:4, and then 2 inches up from there. And next up, we'll see Matthew Ludwig. His first attempt tonight. Matthew has cleared 17:10 earlier this year, so this should be a fairly easy opening bar for him. And Matthew will need a second attempt. He hit the bar on the way up. As we get a little further into the competition, I'll get into a little bit of why some athletes, some pole vaulters might be hitting the bar on the way up, others will be falling down on it. It kind of depends on their speed on the run-up, their choice of poles, and there are quite a few variables that they have to deal with. Cole Walsh of Oregon for his opening bar at 16:10. Each pole vaulter has 1 minute on the runway from when the standards are set till when they actually have to start running down the runway. They can stop and walk back or jog back to try again. As long as they're within that minute mark, the time is all theirs. And a nice clearance from Cole Walsh on his first attempt at the opening bar. Next up will be Matthew Rowland. This is his third and final attempt at this opening height. And he's over, and he remains in the competition. Some of the variables that the pole vaulters will have to deal with today are, one is the wind. There is a flag that's located roughly halfway down their run-up that they and their coach will pay close attention to. A tailwind is definitely what they're looking for and what they're hoping for. On a day like today where there really isn't too much wind, they'll kind of be patient and wait for, if there's a slight headwind, they'll wait for it to die down a little bit. If they sense that a tailwind is picking up, they'll try to take advantage of that and start going when they see that the conditions are favorable. And unfortunately, Adrian Valle from Cincinnati is out of the competition at this point after 3 attempts at 16:11. Brad Johnson of Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has 3 pole vaulters in the competition today, and they are also going to be in a close race against Tennessee and Texas Tech. So every point that they can pick up in the pole vault is very valuable to them. Brad Johnson has a personal best of 5 meters 31, so 17 feet and 4 inches. And a nice first clearance by Brad. Other factors that the pole vaulters are going to be considering today is their pole choice. There are a couple of variables within the poles themselves. They can be of different length, and they can have different flexibility or stiffness. Generally, the longer and the stiffer the pole, the more energy you'll get out of it and the higher you'll jump, but it also means that you have to run faster and be technically closer to perfection to take full advantage of that. So most pole vaulters will open up on some softer poles that are a little more forgiving, and they will alter their selection as they get further into the competition and generally move up to slightly stiffer poles. Some of them may move up to some longer poles as well. And up next is Dylan Bell. He's one of the 10 18-footers in the field today. Dylan Bell is a senior for Air Force. And a very nice first attempt clearance for Dylan as well. After each jump, the pole vaulters will go back and chat to their coaches a little bit. They'll kind of discuss a little bit about what the coach saw, what the athlete felt, and make any adjustments as it comes to the mark from which they start, as well as any pole selection decisions as well. And next up is Deacon Vaults. It looked like Deacon hit the bar on the way up, meaning that he most likely chose a softer pole, which is usually safer. The risk in that is that if it's too soft, you run the risk of hitting the bar on the way up. And there are a couple of things you can do to adjust for that. You can move the standards, which is moving the position of the bar relative to the box. Generally, if you hit the bar on the way up, you want to move the standards a little back, and they can go back as far as 80 centimeters, so just short of 3 feet. If you're hitting the bar on the way up and you already have the standards all the way back, that's generally when you decide to move up to a little bit of a stiffer pole, which will help you go vertical a little closer to the box and the bar, and improve your chances of making the bar. Kyle Pater of Air Force. And a very nice first time clearance by Kyle. Next up is going to be Adam Bragg. Adam has a personal best of 18.6. He is picked to finish in the top 3 by Track and Field News. So it'll be exciting to see how he's adapted to the conditions today, and Let's follow him closely as he takes his first jump of the competition. And a very nice jump by Adam Bragg to open up the day. He carries a lot of speed on the runway, which translates into putting a lot of energy into the pole, which then he takes full advantage of as he gets shot or vaulted up into the air by the pole. And he had plenty of clearance on that first successful jump. And Matthew Ludwig is now up for his second attempt at the opening bar of 16:11. Oh, and that's a clearance. He does brush the bar on the way down, but the bar remains up on the pegs, and that's good enough. I'm sure he'll still want to make a few adjustments. He had plenty of air. Hit the bar on the way down. Generally, that could be either because the ball is fairly stiff. It could also be that he took off a little bit closer than he normally would like to, which impacts the amount of energy you put into the pole as well. But that's a good second attempt clearance for Matthew, and he remains in the competition. Chris Hull of Virginia Tech. And unfortunately, Chris will need one more attempt. You can sometimes notice how the perfect spot to take off for a pole vaulter is directly below where they hold on the pole. And sometimes if the run-up is a little off and they're a little too close or a little too far, you can really spot it by that top, in his case, right hand arm extended upwards. If it's a smooth transition leading up into the pole, it's usually because he took off in the right spot. If he's a little bit too close, like he might have been on this first jump, you'll see that top arm getting jerked a little bit, and he loses some valuable energy there. But that's something you can adjust and correct on his second attempt. And Deacon Bolts will need another or third attempt at his opening height. Up next is Jesse Oxley, the senior from Kent State. Oh, and a good first-time clearance. He did hit the bar on the way down, but he'll take it. And Jesse remains clean as he enters the competition. The way that the pole vault standings are calculated, obviously whoever jumps highest leads. The second determining factor is what attempt you cleared your highest height on. So it's definitely better to clear. It's an advantage to clear on first attempt versus second, and second versus third. And then if you still have a tie at that point, the way we resolve that is we look at the total of misses in the competition overall. So every jump matters. You want to maintain a clean sheet as much as possible. And in the end, it might be the determining factor of who comes away with the championship. And a nice first attempt clearance by Torben Leidig. Torben is from Germany. He competes for Virginia Tech, and he's a sophomore. He's picked to be one of the top 8 finishers tonight. Carl Johansson of Texas A&M, one of 3 vaulters that the Aggies have in the competition. As I mentioned earlier, every pole vaulter gets to pick what height he enters the competition on, and it's something that the vaulter and the coach will decide most likely before the competition even starts. Sometimes you'll adjust your plans based on how your warm-up jump goes. So we'll be seeing athletes enter at higher, some of the better athletes will enter at slightly higher heights, and partly because they feel like you know, it's fairly safe for them to enter at a bar such as 1710. It's a bar that they're quite comfortable with. You generally try to enter at a bar which is somewhat forgiving in that you don't have to have everything, your mark, your pole selection exactly on to get started. And a nice second attempt clearance for Chris Wool from Virginia Tech. Up next for Samford, it's a sophomore, Trey Oates. And a nice first attempt clearance for Trey as well. Barrett Poth, the freshman from Texas. And Barrett will need a second attempt at this bar. For those of you watching on ESPN3, here's a good shot of the flag that the athletes and the coaches are observing. It's halfway down the runway, and it is showing a slight headwind today, which is probably why a lot of the pole vaulters are having a little bit more problems with this first opening bar than they would under circumstances where they had a slight tailwind. Really, the trickiest winds for a pole vaulter are crosswinds. The pole itself acts almost like a large sail when you're running with it, and when that pole is being pushed off to the side, you're kind of fighting to aim at the box, which takes your concentration away, takes some of your energy away, and it just makes for some challenging conditions. But luckily, the wind is very light today, so it shouldn't be too much of a factor for most of these guys. And next up will be Reese Watson. Reese has a personal best of 18 feet 4 inches. He's vaulted just a little over 17.8 this year. And I'm sure Texas will be looking to get a couple of points out of him. That will prove valuable in their team race. And looked like Reese blew through, as we call it in pole vault lingo, through his pole. Might have been a little bit too soft for his first attempt. Generally, when the conditions, when you have a slight headwind, you do tend to start off on a little bit of a softer pole, as you're not carrying as much energy. You're not developing as much speed on the runway. So most of the pole vaulters will be a little bit conservative and start on slightly softer poles, which you always run the risk of hitting the bar on the way up and then landing very deeply into the pit. Those are some telltale signs. And here's Deacon Bolts for his third attempt at the opening height. Plenty of height, but unfortunately Deacon was not able to make the adjustments necessary today, and he will exit the competition without a legal mark today. Next up will be Carl Johansson for his second attempt. And Carl will need one more. He'll discuss what to do with his coach. It's always tricky on third attempts. It looked like the pole might have been a little soft for him. He did land fairly deep into the pit. He hit the bar on the way up. But grabbing a new stiffer pole on your third attempt is also risky, as it's a pole you haven't tried yet. So it'll be interesting to see what he and his coach decide to do. And here's Barrett Poth. And a nice second attempt clearance for Barrett.
Just a quick update on the men's pole vault competition. Bar is still at 16, 10 and 3/4. We have 16 athletes of the bar at this height so far. 16 athletes of the bar at this height so far. Back to you, Paul.
And next up will be Reese Watson for his second attempt. And a nice second attempt at clearance for Reese. He remains in the competition. Carl Johansson is going to be up next for his third attempt at the opening height. He, of course, is representing Texas A&M. Who are the leading contenders for the team title today. And unfortunately, Carl will be out as well. Carl's personal best is actually the next bar would have been a new PR for him, so this is some valuable experience for Carl Johansson, and I'm sure we'll see him back in Eugene next year for the national championships. So as the bar moves up to the next height, which is 17 feet 4 inches, I just wanted to take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Piotr Bucharski. I am a former pole vaulter myself. I was lucky enough to represent my country, Denmark, at the 2004 Olympic Games. I also competed for Denmark at 5 indoor and outdoor world championships. And my collegiate career took place here, right here in Eugene, at the University of Oregon, where I was a 3-time All-American and a 2-time Pac-10 champion.
In lane 2, Southwest champion this year, Air Force sophomore, Camille Trimble.
It's a pleasure to be spending this lovely Eugene afternoon with everybody in the stadium and everybody on ESPN3.
In lane 4, SEC champion, junior from LSU, Jordan Moore. In lane 5 is the second fastest time by collision this year, the Missouri Valley champion, from Indiana State, Darius Washington.
The bar is being measured by the officials. We're going up to 5 meters 30, which is just under 17 feet 5 inches. So far, we still have 21 men left in the competition, with 3 gentlemen who elected to pass on the opening height of 16:10, and they may elect to open here at 17:4. We will find out. We're going to go up to the top of the starting list with Matthew Rowland, from the junior from Akron, first pole vaulter at this height. And it looked like Matthew stalled out a little bit. He might have been a few inches too close to the box on his takeoff. He'll go back and discuss with his coach what he needs to do to clear this next bar. This next bar is actually equal to, or the bar that he's currently vaulting on, 17 feet and 4 inches, will equal his lifetime best. And up next will be Devin King from Southeast Louisiana. He's going to be one of the primary challenges to Jake Blankenship. So this is his first jump of the competition. And a good opening bar by Devin. Most importantly, he keeps his scorecard clean, and even opening bar jumps can often be quite influential, or can impact one's standing. Going clean is definitely a big advantage, and something everybody wants to do in a national championship meet. And next up will be Dylan Duvio. And unfortunately, Dylan elects to run through. He must have felt that something was off in his run-up. lot of the pole vaulters have a check mark halfway down the runway that they use as a reference point sometimes when they feel that they're too far away from that mark or too close to that mark, that they'll be completely off on their takeoff and elect to just run through. Jax Torres fortunately misses his first jump at 5:30. And up next is Jake Blankenship. As I mentioned before, he is the collegiate leader and one of the favorites for the title tonight. This is going to be his first attempt of the competition.
On your mark.
And it looked like Jake hit the bar on the way up. Probably selected a conservative, softer pole for his first jump, but everything else looked pretty good. He had plenty of speed on the run-up, so I'm sure he'll make some adjustments and we'll have a better second attempt. So now we're back up to Matthew Rowe. We're still doing the 5 Alive system, so Matthew would have waited for 4 other pole vaulters to go before his second attempt. And Matthew will need one more attempt. Brandon Ray, the freshman out of Texas Tech, who's vaulted 17.8 earlier this year. And Brandon was slightly off on his first attempt as well. Next up is Dylan Duvio for his second attempt at 17.4.
Here now, the competitors in Heat 3 of the 110-meter hurdles will have starters on board for you momentarily. In lane 1, vice champion this year.
Close, but not quite there for Dylan. He'll have one more attempt. He hit the bar on the way down. He will also talk to his coach and make a couple of adjustments.
In lane 3, American champion this year is the freshman from Houston, Amir Latin.
Jax Torres for Washington, coached by Pat Licari, who has coached a lot of great Washington vaulters over the years. He's up next for his second attempt. And a nice second attempt clearance for Jax. He remains in the competition. So next we should see Jake Blankenship and see what kind of adjustments he made from his first attempt as he looks to stay in the competition and clear his opening bar. And a nice second attempt clearance. He was still a little bit close to the bar. It looked like he might have been a little bit too close to the box on his takeoff, but he managed to avoid the bar on the way down, and he will take that and move on to the next height.
And we'll try again here, start of the third and final of the 110-meter hurdles. It's Kozlinski in 1, Davis in 2.
And next up will be Matthew Rowland, the junior from Akron, up for his third attempt. This is to stay in the competition. Oh, and a close attempt, but unfortunately Matthew will end the night with a mark of 5 meters 15 or 16:11. As I mentioned, Matthew's best is the height that we're at, 17.4, so he came very close to vaulting his best at a major championship, which is always a good achievement for a young pole vaulter. And next up will be Brandon Bray. This will be Brandon's second attempt. And Brandon comes up short. He stalled out a little bit. Went off to the side a little bit. You want to stay as close to straight down the runway, straight down the pit as possible. That way you're maximizing the energy that you're putting into the pole and being able to utilize that to get the maximum height over the bar. Dylan Duvio for his third attempt. And unfortunately, it looks like Dylan stalls out over the bar as well, and he will leave the competition with a clearance of 5 meters 15, 16 feet and 10 inches. Next up will be Craig Hunter, junior from Connecticut. And a nice first attempt clearance by Craig. The winds are still very calm. They'll probably keep dying down as we get later into the night, and the pole vaulters won't complain about that at all. Matthew Ludwig will be up next, the freshman from Missouri. He's vaulted 17:10 earlier this year. He has one miss so far. One miss overall in the competition, and he picks up another one and on his first attempt at 17.4. And this brings up Oregon's Cole Walsh. Cole has vaulted 5 meters 41 or 17.8 this year. So this bar is well within his abilities, and if he gets it on the first attempt, that might prove valuable down the road, especially if he can make one more bar after that and potentially pick up some points. Cole has 1 minute, and he chooses to take up a lot of that time, likes to concentrate before he goes, and here he comes. And a nice first attempt clearance for Cole, putting him in the lead as we enter more guys into the competition. It's an early lead, so the lead will change many times, but it's definitely good for Cole that he's remaining clean, and he's increasing his chances of picking up a couple of points for the team standings. Brandon Bray. Oh, and a very, very close, but unfortunately a miss for Brandon on his third attempt. Up next will be Brad Johnson, junior from Virginia Tech. He cleared 16 of 10 on his first attempt, so he'll look to stay clean as he takes this attempt. Oh, he had a nice takeoff, but unfortunately it looked like the pole might have been a little bit too soft, and he hit the bar on the way up. I'm sure he and his coach will talk about the options, and they may like to move up another pole. They may do some other adjustments as well. And this brings up Dylan Bell. Dylan has vaulted 18 feet 2 inches this year. And this is his first attempt at 17.4, sorry. And unfortunately, Dylan looked like he might have been a little bit too close, and he came up short on the bar. And we'll see him vaulting at this height one more time. Next up will be Matthew Ludwig from Missouri. And a nice clearance for Matthew on his second attempt at 17.4. And we're going to pick up Kyle Pater into the rotation, the junior from Air Force. This was going to be his first jump at 17.4. He cleared 16.10 on his first attempt, so if he clears this height on his first, he will remain, he'll be tied for the lead with two other guys at this point. And Pater appears to hit the bar on his way up. So far we have Devin King, Craig Hunter, and Cole Walsh all staying clean, and they are leading the competition at this point. Adam Bragg will be up next, the senior from Princeton. His personal best is 18.6, and he has been picked to be one of the top 3 finishers. Let's see how he does at his first attempt. Seems to be very nice, smooth, and a nice clearance for Adam. He remains clean in his first 2 bars, and he joins the other 3 gentlemen for the lead in the competition. Up on the runway now, we see Brad Johnson. Looks like a nice, consistent run-up. Good takeoff, and, well, fortunately he stalls out a little bit at the end and does not clear 17.4 in his second attempt. And next up will be Dylan Bell, senior from Air Force, for his second attempt at 17.4. Dylan has a little bit of a shorter run-up than you'll see some of the other guys take. Most pole vaulters take anywhere from 14 to 18 strides to get to their takeoff. And Dylan will miss on his second attempt. Generally, the most important thing in the pole vault is the speed that you have right on the takeoff, and a longer run-up helps develop that a little bit. You don't have to push as hard on those as guys would that only take 14 steps. The difference is that it becomes a little harder to control. So there's some risk and benefit as with many of the other variables in the pole vault. Chris Ohl, Virginia Tech, first attempt at 17.4. And looked like Chris might have been a little bit too close. It wasn't that nice, clean, smooth takeoff, which meant that he probably stalled out a little bit, and he'll have 2 more attempts at this height. Which brings us back to Kyle Pater, the junior from Air Force. Oh, and Kyle had a lot of speed, a lot of energy into that pole, and unfortunately hit the bar on the way up. From where I'm watching, it's a little bit hard to tell how far he had the standards back, so if he still has a little space that he can move those further back, he may try to do that, or he may need to move up to a slightly stiffer pole to get a little more vertical movement instead of the horizontal movement that his energy forced the ball to move. And Jesse Oxley unfortunately stalls out on his first attempt at 17.4. This is a equal lifetime best for Jesse if he clears that bar, so he is jumping to the maximum of his abilities at this point. And Brad Johnson up for his third attempt. Oh, so close, so close. He hit the bar. It looked like it was going to stay on there, but unfortunately fell, and that will be the end of the day for Brad today. He is out of the competition with a clearance of 16-11. Up next, Dylan Bell from Air Force. Oh, and a nice clearance for Bell on his third attempt. He remains in the competition. Chris Ohl will be next. Oh, and very close, but unfortunately that will be a second attempt miss for Chris Ohl at 17-4. Kyle Pater, his third attempt. Kyle was actually picked to finish 6th by Track and Field News, so this is an important bar, and he'll need to stay in the meet. At this point, plenty of height and close to hitting the bar on the way down, but he remains clean, and he stays in the meet at this point. Good third attempt clearance by Kyle. Jesse Uxley will be next for his second attempt at 17-4. Jesse has a little bit of a shorter run-up than some of the other gentlemen. He is looking to tie his personal best with his jump. Nice fast run-up. Oh, and close, but clips it on the way down. He'll have one more attempt. And entering the competition next will be Chase Wolfel from Texas A&M. Chase has been picked to finish 7th by Track and Field News, although his PER, which he set earlier this year at 18.6, actually puts him 3rd on the season best list. So he has been a little bit inconsistent, so it'll be interesting to see how he fares on this first attempt. Like he might have slowed down just a little bit on that second to last step, and that's valuable energy that probably forces him to stall out a little bit. And he fell down on the bar, but that was his first jump of the day. He'll have 2 more attempts at this height, and looks like everything looked like he could make the necessary adjustments and stay in the competition on his next attempt. Next up will be Torben Leidig, the sophomore from Virginia Tech. Leidig comes from Germany. Germany has produced a number of great vaulters over the last year, over the last decade and a half. So and a very nice clearance by Torben. He remains clean in the competition and will be in first place with everybody else that is clean so far. And we're back up to Chris Ohl, senior from Virginia Tech. This is going to be his third attempt. For those of you following on the start list, we are kind of hopping around, and it is because we are using the 5 life system. It's a system that works well for the pole vaulters while the field is as large as it is. Oh, and close, but unfortunately Chris Ohl is out at this point. He will not score any points for Virginia Tech. He wasn't picked to, but with his personal best of just over 18 feet, he definitely had the chance. So Virginia Tech will still have a few other vaulters in the competition that will help in their race to be in the top 10 on the overall team standings. Trey Oates from Samford. Trey cleared 16:10 on his first attempt, so if he clears this, he will take the lead with all the other gentlemen who are clear so far. Nice fast run up and very easy, good jump. Trey has taken 2 jumps so far and both of them successful, so I'm sure he's glad, and he and his coach are glad about that. Next up will be Barrett Poth, a freshman from Texas. His best is 17.6, so we're not too far from his personal best. He needed 2 attempts to clear his opening bar. Let's see how he does on this one. Nice fast run up, good plant. Close, but unfortunately not quite there. He will need 2 more attempts at this bar. And up next will be the third of 3 Texas A&M vaulters, Jacob Wooten, freshman for Texas A&M. For those of you watching on ESPN, you had a close-up of the talcum powder that Jacob has been using. It helps with his grip. And close, but unfortunately not quite there. He'll have another 2 attempts at this height. So yeah, it's quite important to be able to grip the pole and then not slide down the pole as you plant it. So there are a couple of options. You've got talcum powder. You can also use some sticky stuff. There's different varieties. Different guys are comfortable with different ways of keeping their grip tight. You're allowed to put tape on the pole itself to help you with the grip, but you're not allowed to make any form of handholds, anything that would help you. It has to be quite a smooth surface. Up next is Reese Watson, senior from Texas. He's Got a pretty long run up. Good plant. Oh, he let his legs go a little bit too early. He didn't quite stay close enough to the pole and hit the bar. So he'll have 2 more attempts. Third attempt for Jesse Oxley, Kent State. This is to equal his lifetime best. Winds are pretty calm. He's just taking his time, concentrating. Quite aggressive start to his run, and a good jump, but unfortunately not quite there. And Jesse will end the competition with a clearance of 16:10. Second attempt for the senior from Texas A&M, Chase Wolfel. And second miss for Chase. He'll have 1 more jump. Chase has a great mark this year, but he has been a little bit inconsistent, so hopefully he'll be able to make the necessary adjustments and have a successful third attempt clearance. Barrett Poff, freshman from Texas. Close, but hit the bar on the way down. He'll have 1 more attempt. And that'll bring up Jacob Wooten, Texas A&M, also only a freshman. Has a very respectable clearance of 17:10 earlier this year. Here he goes. Looked like he might have been a little bit too close again. It wasn't quite a smooth transition off the ground onto the pole. He might need to move his run-up back a little bit, but that's something he and his coach will discuss. And he'll have 1 more attempt. Reese Watson is up next, and this will be his second attempt. Reese is talking to the officials. He's probably adjusted his the distance that the bar is away from the box. Looks like he is might be picking up a different pole. What pole vaulters are trying to do is to adjust their pole selection to the conditions on the day, and also the height that they're vaulting on. Generally, softer poles are a little more forgiving in that you don't have to be in your exact takeoff spot. Technically, they're moving a little slower, so you don't have to, when you go and rock back on the pole, you have a little more time to make any adjustments. And they're just easier to jump on. However, you just don't get as much height out of the softer poles. So, it's always a trade-off between a pole that is going to be forgiving, and then the height that you need at that given bar. The higher you go, the less choices you have. You try to be on your biggest poles for those heights, but at the lower heights, there are quite a few adjustments you can make. Oh, and fortunately, a second attempt miss for Reese. And we're back up to Chase Wolfley, from the senior from Texas A&M. He was picked to finish 7th in the competition. I'm sure Texas A&M is counting on his points, so this is quite an important bar for both Chase and the team overall. Oh, it looked like he might have come up a little short, and he will miss, and he will be out of the competition at this point. He will definitely be disappointed with that, and it will mean that we'll have some it'll definitely have an impact on the overall team scores, as Texas A&M was definitely counting on him to pick up probably at least 2 points in this competition. Barrett Poff, his third attempt at 17.4, his lifetime best of 17.6. It'll take one of his better jumps, and this is to remain in the competition. Looks like he has a nice smooth run up, decent takeoff, and unfortunately not enough to make this bar. So Barrett Poth, the freshman from Texas, will be out of the competition with a clearance of 16.10. That means we have 2 gentlemen remaining in the competition at this height: Jacob Wooten and Reese Watson. First up is Wooten, Texas A&M. Close, but unfortunately Jacob is going to finish at this height as well. My calculations are right. We have 11 student athletes over the bar at this height so far, with Reese Watson looking to be the 12th over the bar. And Reese is asking for a hand. He's asking for the crowd to help him on this third attempt. Lifetime best of 18.4. He is very capable of clearing this height. Let's hope he makes it. Here he comes. Good fast run up. Oh, it looked like he might have gotten a little close on the third attempt as well, and unfortunately that will be the end of the competition for Reese Watson. That means we'll move the bar up another 4 inches this time to 17.10. The metric conversion is 5 meters 45. The heights follow the metric system in the pole vault to stay with the international standards. I'm kind of rounding them down to the nearest inch. And if I'm not mistaken, we have 11 student athletes remaining in the competition and attempting 17.10 in a couple of minutes. For anybody just joining us, my name is Piotr Bucharski. I am a former pole vaulter. I used to represent the University of Oregon, where I had the honor of twice winning the Pac-10 championships. I was a 3-time All-American, and then went on and represented my country, which is Denmark, at the Olympic Games in Athens in 2004, and competed at the World Championships at 5 different occasions. So very excited to be following the pole vault today and sharing my insight and sharing with you what I see as a former pole vaulter when watching this event. There are quite a few things to watch for, and as we have maybe fewer athletes left in the competition, the breaks in between jumps will be a little bit longer, so I'll try to go a little more in-depth into the small nuances of the pole vault and some of the things that the athletes may be thinking, some of the things that the coaches will be looking at. And we have a very good collection of athletes today, all competing for the NCAA National Championships. It's a very high level of competition. We will be seeing a lot of these pole vaulters again later this month or early next month at the U.S. Olympic Trials right here at Hayward Field. The wind looks like has completely settled down. All the flags that I can see in the stadium are barely moving, which is a good thing for the pole vaulters. They would probably prefer a slight tailwind, but they'll take no wind over a side wind or a headwind. So conditions for the pole vault are pretty good today. First up at 5 meters 45 or 17.10 will be Devin King, the sophomore from Southeast Louisiana. He has a personal best of 18.8, and which is actually the second highest mark of anybody in the competition today. He's taken one jump so far and cleared 17.4 on his first attempt. He's one of our leaders of the competition so far. Devin is still waiting for the officials to set the bar. Once they do, they're going to give him 1 minute to take his first attempt at the height. The poles that the student athletes are using today are mostly made either out of fiberglass or out of carbon fiber. There are slight variances between the type of material you pick or use for the pole vault, and it's pretty much a personal preference. But the poles themselves vary quite a bit from pole vaulter to pole vaulter. They essentially have 3 metrics that a pole vaulter will look at. There's a maximum weight that a pole can tolerate. There's the length, and then there's the flex number, or how stiff the pole is. Here's Devin. Oh! Looked like he did not hold on to the pole. Might have been a little bit too close. And he'll have 2 more attempts, but he'll wonder a little bit what went wrong on that jump. Jack Storrs, senior from Washington, his first attempt. Carrying a lot of speed, good plant. Oh, and that was actually a very good jump. I think in this case his ball was just a little bit too soft. I'm sure he and Pat, his coach, will discuss moving up to a slightly stiffer one, and when they do, you should have plenty of height to clear this height. Jake Blankenship from Tennessee, senior, will be up next. He had 1 miss at his opening bar, so he will look to stay clean. He probably doesn't want too many more misses in the competition in case he ends up at a equal height with some of his other competitors. And here he goes. He's a very fast pole vaulter, very nice smooth plant, and he too hits the bar on the way up. And looks like the pole vaulters might actually be getting a little bit of a tailwind now. The wind has been switching. The cloud cover has moved away, which generally means the wind switched to be coming out of the north here at Hayward Field. So they'll need to make a few adjustments with their run-ups and their pole selection. It's the same for everybody, but in the end, it's a little bit of an art and a science to the proper selection, and then just adjusting to all the conditions as they change through the competition. And here's Craig Hunter, also with a first attempt miss. A clearance at this height of 17.10 on first attempt could potentially put you in a position where you're in the top 8 and you start picking up some points. So any of the student athletes taking their first attempt, they're quite critical at this point. They can put you up in the rankings, and they can also score some valuable points for your team. Next up will be Matthew Ludwig from Missouri. Missouri has been picked 9th by Track and Field News, and if he clears this on his, oh, so close. Had he cleared this on his first attempt, he would have picked up some unexpected points, which he still can do. But that's why those first attempt clearances become pretty critical, especially the higher up we go. And next up will be Cole Walsh. It appears that we have gone away from the 5 Alive system and are now just going all the way through, with every pole vaulter getting 1 attempt at the bar before moving on to the second attempts. And here's Cole Walsh of Oregon. Oh, and not the best attempt from Cole in this jump. His run-up seemed okay. His plant wasn't too bad, but it appears that he didn't quite feel things were right, so he almost gave up on that first jump. The winds have definitely shifted, and it does appear like the pole vaulters are getting more of a favorable tailwind, so they'll need to adjust, but they won't complain about that at all. Next up is Dylan Bell, senior from Air Force. He needed 3 attempts at the previous bar. He could make up for that if he goes clear here in his first attempt. Oh, close, but not quite there. So Dylan will take 2 more attempts at this bar of 17:10. Kyle Pater will be up next. Kyle Pater. Oh, close, stalled out a little bit over the bar. So, so far, nobody over 17:10. Right now, we have a 6-way tie for first place with Adam Bragg, Cole Walsh, Craig Hunter, Trey Oates, Torben Leidig, and Devin King, all clearing, staying clean in the competition so far. Jake Blankenship and Jax Thors from Washington are in 7th, completing the scoring positions in the pole vault. Adam Bragg will be attempting his first jump at 17:10. Every pole vaulter has their own little routine before they start going. Just different ways of composing themselves and getting ready and getting a little bit psyched up for their attempt. And here comes Adam. Oh, a very good attempt. Unfortunately, a miss as well. But quite a good jump by Adam. His personal best is 18.6, and he's cleared 18.2 earlier this year, so he should be able to clear this bar in one of the next few attempts. Torben Leidig of Virginia Tech. Torben has had 2 attempts at the 2 previous bars, both made on the first attempt. If he clears this, he's really going to position himself well in the overall competition. And yes, that's the first clearance of the day at 17:10. And that's how Torben will take the lead. He was picked to pick up 1 point or finish in 8th place by Track and Field News, and the way it's looking now, he could do better than that, just with that clearance alone. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the competition develops. Trey Oates, Samford, sophomore. He's cleared 18 feet earlier this year. Slows down just a little bit, and that's what's going to cost him a miss at this height. So that completes first attempts with Torben Leidig being the only one to clear it. He takes the lead, and we go back up to the top of the order with Devin King getting ready for his Trey Oates has an attempt as well. No, Devin King. I was right. I was looking at my screen for a second and The information on there was just a few seconds behind. So here we go. Second attempts. Devin King. Oh, and a nice second attempt clearance. He does clip it as he goes over, but he'll take it. And that puts Devin in a good position. He's cleared 18.8 earlier this year. So he's well capable of clearing the next bars and making this an interesting competition. Jack Storrs, Washington. With that clearance, Devin King moves into a second position overall so far. Jax is a very tall pole vaulter, which has its advantages. He's probably able to hold a little higher than some of his competitors. However, the technique part is a little bit tougher too for the taller guys, so there's a advantage and disadvantage to everything in the pole vault, and unfortunately Jax will need one more attempt. He'll have one more. Jake Blankenship. If Jake clears this bar, he'll move into second place, or actually third place at this point, behind Torben Ledig and Devin King, who have fewer misses at this point than Jake. So this is to put himself in third position. Carries a lot of speed, good takeoff, and an easy clearance for Jake. He'll be happy with that jump. So that puts him in third, and we have 3 pole vaulters over the bar so far. Craig Hunter, junior from Connecticut, has a good run up, stalls out a little bit, and yep, he's going to need one more. Craig's personal best is 17.8, so this would actually be a 2-inch PR if he clears this bar. Matthew Ludwig will be up next, the freshman from Missouri. His personal best is 5 meters 46, so just a quarter of an inch higher than what he's attempting right now. So he is jumping at one of the highest bars in his college career. It's always great to see guys who are able to perform at the big meets when it matters. And Matthew's right there. Very good dynamic run up and very, very close, but he will need one more attempt. And this will bring up Cole Walsh from Oregon. Cole is currently in 4th place, and there's still quite a few student athletes remaining on the competition, but right now he's in a good position to pick up a couple of points for the Ducks, and those will be quite valuable points that they had not counted on before the competition started. So clearance here would be quite big for him, but also for the team overall. Oregon picked to finish 3rd by the USTFCCA, the Coaches Association that ranks schools throughout the college season. And no go for Cole. He will have one more. Dylan Bell will be up next, the senior from Air Force. Dylan has a 18-foot vaulter as well, 18.3 as his personal best. He's going to try to be the 4th athlete over this height. And it appears that Cole Walsh is going to get another attempt. Oh, and it didn't help. He ran through, must have felt that his run-up was off. I'm not quite sure what might have happened on his previous attempt. It could have been that the officials hadn't set the standards in their correct position. But that means that we'll now move on to Dylan Bell, the senior from Air Force. Pretty good jump. It looked like he might have been a little bit too close on this attempt, which made him stall out a little bit over the bar and ended up falling on the bar on the way down. Dylan will have one more attempt. And next up will be Kyle Pater, Jr. from Air Force. Kyle is currently in 10th position. He would move into the 4th spot if he cleared on this attempt. And this would also be a 2-inch PR for Kyle. Oh, not a bad jump, quite close. He may get it on his 3rd attempt. We'll have to wait and see. Adam Bragg will be up next from Princeton. Currently in 4th position. Adam has vaulted 18.2 this outdoor season, has a personal best of 18.6. And one of the favorites for the championship today. So let's see how he does on his 2nd attempt. Going through his routine, checking his grip. Just his way of concentrating, getting ready. And here he goes. 2nd attempt. Oh, and he stalled out. He might have moved up a pole a little bit. His pole might be a little too stiff for him. He'll do his best to try it again. And the last jumper from this height on his second attempt will be Trey Oates before we moved over to third attempts. Trey has vaulted 18 feet this year. That's also his personal best. Nice jump. Oh, very close, very close. He'll have one more, and he's got a good chance of making it on his third attempt. So we're back up to Jack Storrs for his third attempt at 17-10. Jax was picked to finish fifth. He is currently in the 8th position, so he'll be looking to make this bar to stay in the competition and improve his ranking. And there he goes. That's a pretty good takeoff, and yes, a very nice clearance, and Jax is still in the competition. That's going to put him in 4th place overall so far. Exactly where he wants to be at this point. Craig Hunter, third attempt, 17-10. Picking up some good speed. It's a good takeoff. And yes, he makes it. He does touch the bar. It stays up. And Craig will actually move up into the 4th spot, pushing Jack Storrs down to 5th. And he remains in the competition. And that's actually a great lifetime best by 2 inches. So great to see Craig Hunter doing so well here at Hayward Field. Next up, Matthew Ludwig. And Matthew's trying to get the crowd behind him. There's always a really good pole vault crowd here at Hayward Field. The East Grandstand is usually filled with pole vault fans, and they really like to get behind the athletes no matter what school they're from. So here he goes. There's a lot of speed, nice takeoff. Oh, and he stalls out a little short. He had the height, but he might have been slightly too close. Maybe the pole was a little bit too stiff, and he's going to be out of the competition, clearing 17-4. Currently, Ludwig is 5th overall, sorry, 9th overall, so he will be just out of the scoring. Next up, Cole Walsh, third attempt. Cole is currently in 6th position with a few more guys going after him, so people looking to clear the bar on the third attempt. It's good. Oh, very close, very close. He had the height. Looked like he brought it down with his chest, his arm. It was a good attempt by Cole, but he is out of the competition at this point and still currently in 6th place, but he'll have to wait and see how the four other vaulters behind him do before he'll know how high up he'll finish. So far, still 5 pole vaulters over the bar. And next up will be Dylan Bell. Fast approach from Dylan. Oh, and a very big jump. Great clearance. He'll be happy with that, and he remains in the competition. That's going to move Dylan up into 6th place. He was not picked to finish in the top 8. And it looks like this jump might be worth an All-American title. He'll be very happy with that. Kyle Pater, 3rd attempt. Nice smooth run up. Not a bad takeoff, and he's going to come up a little short. Likes to do a little twist at the end. But, yep, that's going to end the competition for Kyle. His 17.4 is going to place him 11th overall. Next up, Adam Bragg from Princeton. Adam had a good 2nd attempt. Let's see if he's able to pull it out in his 3rd. He was picked to finish 3rd by Track and Field News. He needs this bar to stay in the competition. And there he goes. A little bit too close to the bar, but unfortunately that will be the end of the journey for Adam Bragg. Adam finishes in 7th place overall. And that leaves one more jumper at this height. That's Trey Oates. Not a bad attempt, but unfortunately not enough. And Trey Oates will finish the competition in 7th place, tied for 7th. He will pick up some points for Samford, and he'll also earn All-American honors. So not a bad day for him. And that concludes all the attempts at 17.10. We're going to move up another 4 inches to 18.2, 5 meters 55 centimeters, and we're going to have 6 competitors left at this height. Torben Leidig from Virginia Tech is in the lead right now. Devin King, Southeast Louisiana, in 2nd. Jake Blankenship is in 3rd place. Craig Hunter is in 4th. Jax Thors from Washington is in 5th. Dylan Bell is in 6th, and those are the 6 competitors that will determine, that will fight for a position on this next height. Once again, the way that the rankings or the positions are determined in a pole vault competition is you'll first of all, of course, look at who has the highest vault. But if you have multiple vaulters tied at the same height, you'll look at, first of all, you look at how many attempts they needed to clear this highest height. And if we still have a tie, then you look at the overall misses in the entire competition, and the vaulter with the fewer misses will have the higher placement. Now, if there's still a tie at that point, it just remains a tie unless it's for the first place, in which case there will be a jump off to determine the winner sudden death type of jump off. Once again, my name is Piotr Bucharski. I am a former pole vaulter here from the University of Oregon. I used to compete for Denmark, and I had the honor of competing for Denmark at the 2004 Olympic Games. First up at 18-2 will be Devin King from Southeast Louisiana. Devin, who's vaulted 18-8 this year. He has one miss so far. He's currently in second place. A first attempt clearance will position him very well to finish in the top 3, even with that next bar. So every jump now is quite crucial for final placement. As far as the overall team race goes, it looks like Cole Walsh from Oregon will pick up 2 points. I think these are 2 points that weren't factored into the team standings overall when the initial rankings came out. Texas A&M was expecting to pick up probably at least 2 points with Chase Wolfley, which they're not going to do. So there's potentially a 4-point swing right here, right off the get-go in the pole vault competition. The officials are still measuring. They're double checking that the height as set by the pole vault standards matches what the true actual measurement is. It's going to take them a few more minutes. We are entering almost the second hour of the pole vault competition with 24 vaulters. It makes for a little bit of a longer wait, which means that the vaulters are out there for quite some time, and just means they need to stay focused, they need to stay warm, even though some of the better vaulters at this point have only maybe taken 2 or 3 jumps. They have been staying warm for a total of 2.5 to 3 hours at this point, and that's one of the keys to winning a championship, is just maintaining your poise, staying focused, and handling the conditions, and waiting your turn. It's sometimes just a game of patience, but it's what you have to do at every major championship, whether it's here at the NCAAs or the trials or at the Olympics. And here's Devin King, first attempt. Oh, and he did not like something. I don't think it was the wind. The wind still seems to be a little, or pretty dead at this point, which is nice. He must have been a little bit off on his marks, and he ran through, and he'll have 2 more attempts at the height. Up next, Jack Thors. And he stalls out as well. being that Jake Blankenship is currently in third attempt, and with Devin King missing, a first attempt clearance will put him in first place and will put him in good position in this competition. So he'll be looking to make this on his first attempt. Not that you ever want to leave any attempts out there, but this will definitely strategically put him exactly where he wants to be. He's got a nice, good fast run up, good plant, good takeoff. Oh, and hits the bar on the way up. So 3 vaulters and 3 misses. Next up will be Craig Hunter from Connecticut. For Craig, this would be quite an impressive PR. Here he goes. Oh, very nice takeoff. He actually took off a little bit outside, which if you carry a lot of speed, that's a very good position to be in. But he stalled out and missed, and he'll have 2 more attempts. But Craig's previous personal best was 5 meters 40, 17.8. He's already cleared 17.10 today, so he's having an excellent championship. Next up, Craig Hunter. Sorry about that. That'll be Dylan Bell, senior from Air Force, for his first attempt. Dylan's best is 5 meters 56, so just a 1/4 inch above the current bar. Dylan is currently in 6th place. He was not picked to be one of the top 8 finalists, so he's already earned All-American honors. But I'm sure he's going to be looking to clear this bar and put himself into the lead. Here he goes. Oh, so close. That was a very good attempt. It appeared that he might have been a little bit close to the box, but he definitely had the height and just barely touched the bar on the other side and on the way down. So, but he'll have 2 more. And next up will be the current leader, Torben Leidig. So far, he's the only competitor who has no misses. If he makes this bar on his first attempt, he guarantees himself that he will remain the leader no matter how many other pole vaulters clear 18.2. They'll need to clear 18.6 in order to move ahead of him. That is, of course, if he misses at that height. But said it before, it's an important jump for him. It's extra important in that he can secure the lead and maintain the lead through this height with first attempt clearance. Torben is a sophomore. Got smooth acceleration. Looked like he might have been a little bit too far out. He after he took off, he almost dropped into the pole, so that's a very difficult position to complete the vault from, so he elected to bail. So nobody so far over 18.2 on their first attempt. That also means that nothing has changed in the standings. Torben Leidig will continue to lead ahead of Devin King and Jake Blankenship. Devin King, his second attempt. He could take the lead by clearing on this second attempt. Nice speed. Oh, something didn't seem right, and he bailed on that attempt. He'll have one more. Next up, Jack Thor from Washington. Jax is a senior, personal best of 18.6. Oh, not a bad attempt. His jump at 17.10 was already a season best, so he appears to be peaking at the right time. He'll have one more. And up next will be Jake Blankenship, currently in third. Jake's carrying a lot of speed on this second attempt. Good takeoff. And, oh, he touches the bar, but it remains up, and he takes the lead. 18.2 and a half, 5 meters 55. The only vaulter to clear that height so far. Jake is the favorite, and with this jump, he takes that first position in the competition. Craig Hunter. Nice free takeoff by Craig, but not enough, unfortunately, on the second attempt. He'll have one more. This would be quite an impressive PR again by Craig. Dylan Bell will be up next. Dylan is currently in 6th place, so he's got more misses than anybody else of the 6 pole vaulters remaining in the competition. He can only improve his standings by making this bar. Looked like he might have been a little bit too close. Wasn't a bad jump, but he'll need to make some adjustments to have a fair shot at it on his third attempt. And we're back to, we're not back, but Torben Leidig will be up next. That'll be his second attempt at 18.2 with Jake Blankenship's clearance. Torben is currently in 2nd place. However, if he makes this on his second attempt, he will move ahead of Jake Blankenship. They'll both have second attempt clearances at 18.2, but Leidig does not have any misses on any of the previous heights, so Blankenship has more misses and will therefore be in 2nd place. Oh, and a clearance by Torben. Very smooth, very nice jump, and that puts him back in the lead. So we have 2 pole vaulters over 18.2. That means that we'll move into the third attempts, and there will be 4 pole vaulters remaining and jumping to stay in the competition. First up will be Devin King. He is currently in 3rd place By making this bar, Devin will remain in third place, but he'll have an attempt, or he'll have a chance at... Oh, and he stalls out, so nope. Devin is out, and he's going to have to wait for the 3 remaining pole vaulters to see if he maintains that third place finish, or there's not much he can do at this point other than watch while Jack Storrs, Craig Hunter, and Dylan Bell take their last attempts.
Here are the athletes now in the first of 3 sections of the day's final decathlon event 400 meters in lane 8. He is 16. He's run 50.02. Accurate senior Alex McCune. In lane 7, Kentucky sophomore. He's 7. He's run 51.07. Shot put PR and high jump winner today, Tim Duckworth.
Here comes Jax. Third attempt. Oh, not a bad attempt, but not enough. And Jax will finish in 5th place, unless one of the other 2 competitors make their next attempts. Up next will be Craig Hunter, junior from Connecticut. This will be a big PR for Craig if he makes it. He's carrying a lot of good speed, good takeoff, and actually a very good attempt, but not quite there. He'll be happy though. A new personal best of 17:10 and a 4th place finish so far, at least, for Craig Hunter, the junior from Connecticut. Dylan Bell. Dylan Bell will be the last gentleman to take an attempt at 18.2. So far, only 2 pole vaulters over. Unless Dylan makes this bar, he's going to remain in 6th place. Oh, and it looks like... No. Dylan does have the option of passing this height, essentially making this bar would actually guarantee him a 3rd place finish, which would be quite good, but it looks like he might want to save it, although no, it looks like he's just looking at a different pole. It's hard to tell from where I'm sitting, but the officials are looking at their... I'm checking to see if they're going to move the bar up. It appears they're going to measure. So Dylan Bell's going to pass his last attempt. That means that he'll have 1 attempt at 18.4, 5.60 meters. The advantage of that is if he actually makes that in the first attempt, he goes ahead of all the other pole vaulters that are currently ahead of him, such as Jack Storrs and Craig Hunter. He would have achieved the same goal by clearing 18.2, but a first-time clearance puts him in a very good position ahead of Devin King and ahead of Jake Blankenship and Torben Leidig. So that might be he's going for a podium finish, top 3 finish. Torben who is currently in the lead. He was picked to finish 8th by Track and Field News, so he's going to pick up a lot of points. He's essentially guaranteed a minimum of 6 points for Virginia Tech. Who were ranked 7th before the meet. These are definitely additional points that they may not have been counted on, although Torben's personal best is 18.4 from earlier this year, so it's not a complete surprise that he's vaulting as high as he is. the next bar of 18.4 is still half an inch shorter than his personal best. So either way, Virginia Tech is going to score a couple of extra points here in the pole vault. We will have 3 competitors remaining at 18.4. Torben Leidig, Jake Blankenship, and Dylan Bell, who saved his 3rd attempt from 18.2. Dylan Bell is currently in 6th position. I was talking a little bit about the pole selection that the athletes go through as the competition progresses. Essentially, you're going to vault your highest by holding as high as possible on the stiffest pole that you have in that bag. To vault on your stiffest pole, holding as high as possible, you pretty much have to be running as fast as you ever have in your life, and have a very, very good takeoff. You know, that's where a little bit of a tailwind helps, and you really can't afford for anything to go wrong. If you're about a half foot to a foot too close on your takeoff, you're going to stall out and might not even make it into the pit. So that's why you kind of save those bigger poles for the higher heights, when you know that softer poles, which tend to give you a little more vertical movement, but horizontal movement, but not as much vertical height. They're safer, they're a little easier to clear bars on, but they won't give you as much height. So that's kind of the progression that the pole vaulters go through as they move on to higher heights, and as they need to take a little more risk, because they really need to maximize their potential, the day's conditions, wind conditions, weather conditions. So there's a lot of strategy that goes on with picking your poles. Most pole vaulters travel with a bag full of about anywhere from 6 to 8. They'll have a couple of soft, shorter poles that they warm up on. Then they'll have a pole that they know that they're very likely or quite easily will be able to clear their first couple of bars on. Then they'll move on to a slightly stiffer pole that will require a little more speed, a little more perfection, if you can say it that way, from their approach. A little less forgiving, but it'll give them a little more height, and then they'll usually move up to their stiffest, longest poles in their pole bag as they get towards their lifetime best, or as they attempt new lifetime bests. The poles, as I mentioned, have 3 ratings to them. They have a maximum weight that they'll tolerate. So obviously heavier guys will need to have a pole with higher tolerances. The length is pretty much up to each athlete. It's of course an advantage to hold higher, but it also requires a little more speed and a better plant, better takeoff from them. And here comes Jake Blankenship, first attempt, 5.60 m, 18.4. He's carrying a lot of good speed, good jump, and first attempt clearance. Great. That puts him in the lead. Very good jump, very good attempt. That means that in order to regain the lead, Torben Leidig is going to have to make 18.4 on his first attempt. Second attempt will put him in second place. So that puts a little bit of pressure on Torben, and it's exactly what Jake Blankenship wanted to do in this jump. Well, looks like no, Torben will be third up. So next up is Dylan Bell, his only attempt at this height, the attempt that he saved from 18.2. If he clears this, that's going to put him in second position. up from his 6th, and no worse than 3rd if Torben Leidig makes his first, 2nd, or 3rd attempt. So here's Dylan Bell. It's got a good approach, good takeoff. Oh, and a very, very, very good first and only attempt. It was a great effort, but Dylan Bell, the senior from Air Force, is going to stay in 6th position, and that will be his last jump of the competition today. So we're down to 2 pole vaulters. Jake Blankenship, who cleared 18.4 on his first attempt. Torben Leidig still has an attempt. Still has a chance to regain the lead by just making this height on his first attempt. If he misses, he may consider passing, because 2nd attempt clearance is not going to improve his ranking at all. He'll remain in 2nd place, but sometimes, given how long the competition is and how few jumps he's had, he might elect to take a 2nd one. Let's see what happens on this first one first. And here comes Torben. This is for the lead. Oh, and stalls out. Not a great attempt from him. It looked like he slowed down on those last couple of steps, and that's exactly the opposite of what you want to do. You want to accelerate into those last few steps, put as much energy into that pole as you possibly can, because in the end, that's the energy that you're going to get back, and that's what's going to shoot you up vertically and give you the height. So it'll be interesting to see what Torben decides to do. He could take another attempt at 18.4, although if he makes it on his 2nd attempt, he'll remain in his current 2nd position. So he and his coach will kind of talk about it, strategize, and I'm going to guess that they will elect to pass 18.4 and save his 2 attempts for 18.6. In the pole vault, you essentially you can keep vaulting until you've missed 3 times in a row. So if you take one attempt at one height, let's say 17.8, and miss, you can elect to pass your remaining 2 attempts and take one more at the next height, and you can actually pass. If you miss again, you can pass that and elect to jump again at a 3rd height. So it's not necessarily 3 misses at a given height, it's just 3 misses in a row that eliminate you from the competition. And that's the strategy that Dylan Bell chose to improve his placing in the competition. It appears that Leidig might be doing the same. Yep, I see the measuring tape coming out. The officials are going to move up 2 inches to the next height, which is going to be 18.6. That's going to be a new lifetime best for Torben Leidig if he clears that by a little bit over an inch. He has vaulted 5 meters 62 earlier this year. This is going to be 5 meters 65. But of course, before he goes, first in the order is going to be Jake Blankenship. Now, should Jake clear 18.6 on his first attempt, that would mean that even a first attempt clearance by Leidig, actually no, a first attempt by Leidig only has 1 miss in the whole competition so far. Jake Blankenship has 3, so if they tie at the highest height, Torben Leidig has the tiebreaker. So he just needs to clear this bar on the same attempt as Blankenship to regain the lead. And here comes Blankenship. Good, very fast run up. Good takeoff, and oh, so close. Just brushes it on the way down. It appeared he had a little bit of a stutter step halfway through the run up, which might have been a small adjustment. You try not to do that just because it slows you down again and robs you of some of that energy. He still had a very good jump, very close, but this opens the door for Torben Leidig, and should he clear this on the first attempt, he will regain the lead that he's held for most of the competition. Now that we only have 2 competitors remaining, instead of the 1 minute that we started out with, each jumper has 3 minutes to complete the jump, or actually to start their run-up. Appears that Torben is ready to go, and off he goes. Good takeoff. Oh, not a bad attempt. He's going to have one more. If you're just joining us for these final jumps in the pole vault competition, my name is Piotr Bucharski. It's been a pleasure covering the pole vault here tonight on Tracktown Radio. I'm a former pole vaulter from the University of Oregon. Competed for Denmark for many years in the Olympic Games in 2004 and 5 World Championships indoors and outdoors. And I'm enjoying covering this very exciting pole vault competition. We're seeing some great heights. We're seeing some great young pole vaulters who are going to be on the scene for quite some time. And very likely future Olympic medalists, if not potentially even world record holders, could come out of this group. And that's what's fun about watching and covering the NCAA championships, is you get to witness some of the future stars of the sport in the making. So up next will be Jake Blankenship for his second attempt at 18.6. Jake has a lifetime best of 19 feet. He has cleared 18.8, just short of 18.9. Indoors this year, he did have a little bit of an injury earlier this season. It took him a little time to recover, but had a great SEC championships a few weeks ago, and is showing that he's in good shape and ready to right now defend his number 1 spot in the pole vault in the NCAA championships. Here he goes, second attempt. Oh, didn't look as smooth as on the run up the pole. He might have moved up poles a little bit. Sometimes when you move up to a larger pole, it's a little bit of a mind game. You feel like you know that you have to be closer to your best, closer to perfection. And sometimes instead of just doing exactly what you did in the previous jump or in the previous couple of jumps, you try it a little harder. You try to give it a little extra, and it doesn't always work out. Sometimes just kind of going through the motions, going and doing what you've been practicing for years and years, putting it on auto mode sometimes has better effect. But you never know. Sometimes different things work. So it looked like Jake got a little more tense on this last attempt, and it looked like he might have been on a larger pole, but from where I'm commentating, it's a little hard to see him across the stadium, so don't have a good insight on this pole selection process. Torben Leidig will be up next. This is his third and final attempt. It's only his second attempt at 18.6, but he took one at 18.2 and 18.4 and passed. So this is it. If he makes this, he regains the lead. If he misses, he's gonna finish in second place. Pretty much no wind. He's just composing himself, concentrating, and getting ready to go. A smooth run up. And nope. So Torben Leidig is going to remain in second place. That means that Jake Blankenship is going to be our NCAA champion in 2016. Jake Blankenship is going to have one more attempt at 18.6. He could also elect to pass this height and take one more jump at a higher bar. We'll see what he decides to do. Very often when you're the only competitor remaining and you've already won the meet, you set the bar at a new season best, a new personal best, and this is when you're one shot of doing what you really want to do. You can set the bar at any height you like at this point. He's got the competition won. He's talking to his coach right now. They've got a number in mind. They'll share it with the officials. And it looks like the officials are going to measure a new height. So Jake has elected to move the bar up. As soon as I find out what that height is, I will let everybody know. Given that Jake has vaulted 18.9 this year so far, he could put the bar up at 18.10 or 10, or he could even attempt a new personal best, 19 feet and 1 inch or so. We'll find out in a minute. Yeah, 19 feet 1.5 inches. That's going to be 5 meters and 83. At this point, all the pressure is off. Jake can really enjoy this jump. It is a new, if he clears it, it's going to be a new lifetime best. He's only going to have one attempt at it. But being that he was the favorite to win the competition up front, I'm sure there was a little bit of pressure on him. I'm sure he had put a little pressure on himself. Tennessee also counted on his points, so at this point, he's done everything he's needed to do. He's scored 10 points for the team. He's won the competition for himself. This is an attempt at a new personal best. 5 meters 83. Here he goes. Oh, and unfortunately he runs through, but a great competition for Jake. He's going to be the NCAA champion 2016. It's been a fabulous pole vault competition, a lot of good jumps and a lot of very good vaulters. It's been a pleasure covering it on my side. And at this point, I'm going to say thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening, for watching on ESPN3. And I will be back for the women's competition tomorrow. And I look forward to covering that here from Hayward Field. Thank you very much. Goodbye.